Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we are setting up 4 poles inside the arena, and I'm going to show you various ways that you can ride through these poles and how they're going to help improve you and your horse. For this exercise we need 4 poles placed on the EB line, and you're going to stride one big step between each pole. I wanted this video to be as real and honest as possible, not a polished Instagram reel. So here we have Blanco. She's 23 years old and she spent the last 4 weeks pretty much just hacking. We haven't been in the school recently, and this is her first proper pole session as we build on the fitness. I only rode for about 15 minutes, and so any cutout parts are simply those that are off camera. Nothing in this video is perfect, and that is precisely the point. I would like you to see the raw, stiff, not flexible Blanco in the start, and then how these various exercises through and over the poles help to improve that suppleness and get her going better by the end. It is often simple exercises that show the most improvement, and in this situation I'm simply using 4 poles that I don't even move. Up to this point, I've just been allowing her to walk around on a nice long rein, and then I gradually start picking up the rein contact. We're coming into looking at the first exercise with the poles, and this exercise is going to be using circles and changes of direction in order to get the horse a little bit more supple, as well as working it with a little bit of straightness before you change the bend, and having them work off the independent leg aids. So we start by riding an 8-meter circle at B, which takes you round and through the first set of poles before coming back round to B. We will then continue by riding half a 10-meter circle from B to X, taking you through the middle of the poles. And as you hit X, we'll ride half a 10-meter circle right to E before riding another 8-meter circle. So all through this exercise, I'm trying to think about using the outside aids to bring her around and control that shoulder, so we don't get too much inside bend and too much drift with the shoulder, that we also aren't cutting off the corners. Here, really important that she does get straight on that center line before we change the bend, otherwise we will just fall through the right shoulder. And your inside leg is what's trying to create the bend through her body. As I said in the start, we are just doing this exercise at the moment, having just started. She is a little bit on the stiffer side. I'm just showing it to you in walk, but this could be built up in trots, and if you had a really experienced horse, you could be working at things like this in canter, doing simple changes in the middle as you cross over the X marker. For exercise number 2, we are going to be looking at riding down the centre line. Again, I start off by riding down this in walk, but soon after that we will look at the trot. As we come through the corner by A, it's really important that we're using our outside aids through the turn to prevent the shoulders from drifting out. We need to be riding down it like we're trying to ride down a tightrope and squeezing the horse along, holding that straightness. The more we start to steer right and left through our hand, the more the horse's body is going to follow. As I came down, we did have a little bit of drift from the left, and so I needed to use a little bit more left rein, left leg to help get her straighter there, and then I'm thinking about the change of bend as we hit C. So for our next exercise, we're looking to create a little bit more suppleness through the horse's body, getting them swinging more from behind. So here we've got a shallow loop coming from K through the first set of poles on the side, and then back around towards H in the corner, and then we do the same thing, M through the poles and back up to F in the top corner. Now this can be adjusted in that you could do your shallow loop, to then come down your center line and then do another shallow loop again, which is what I will show you shortly. But as we keep changing the bend from left to right, that helps to get your horse swinging a little bit more through from over the spine and getting them more engaged from behind. And what you'll see is she'll start to become looser and stretch a little bit more down into that contact. This is now just showing that we've popped up into trot. I can see there she's got a little bit too much bend of her nose over towards the right, so that's something we need to work a little bit more on, staying a little bit straighter there. Then we're doing another shallow loop, and I believe we're going to be coming down the center line again. So here, this is quite a challenging exercise for the horses and for riders, in the sense that you're going from keeping them balanced with a change of bend on that shallow loop to then asking them to become straight again down that center line. So being soft through their body but then trying to hold straight can be quite a challenge. So this now brings me on to the next exercise, and that's riding a 20-meter circle, taking her over the poles as well. So what we're ideally looking for is the horse to stay in rhythm, have good balance, stretch down over the poles and engage through their core, lifting more through the hind leg. And I could simply ride a 20-meter circle. You could maybe add in a transition up at A, whether that's a halt or walk transition, or we could ride this as a figure of 8. Sometimes it's quite a good idea to chop and change from going from a figure of 8, then staying on a circle and adjusting it all the time. Therefore, horse isn't becoming or anticipating what's happening next and learning the exercise. You can see here, as we're going over the poles the first couple of times, she's a little bit sticky. She sometimes backs off a little, and this again improves as she gets looser behind and then feels more confident to stretch. Got to remember, she is an older mare and hasn't done poles for a while, so this is quite a challenge to really get her pressing from behind, engaging the hocks there, which there was definitely more push. So here is the section just where I decide I want her to not anticipate what I'm doing. So I ask to keep going around on that right rein. I'm also about to take a halt transition at A. So it's thinking about that, preparing, asking for it, but then allowing her to relax into it and not have her feeling like I'm holding her up in that halt. So now, taking this exercise up a notch again, we're going to move it forwards to canter. So we ride over the 4 poles in the middle, and then as you take your bend off right, in this instance, we take her forwards to canter. Now it's really about planning the downwards transition, so you give yourself enough time to rebalance before you get to the poles, so that you don't end up stacking it as you go over them. and you keep that hind end engagement and keep them pushing through. Over time, you want to get that transition as close to the poles in the middle as you can, but that will build with strength and you'll be able to get closer and closer as time moves on. Even here, the upwards transition afterwards is getting nearer the poles. But then there, I decided to hang back a little because she was starting to anticipate the fact of, right, we're doing this figure of 8. Blanco, the more she gets moving on in canter, the more she starts to open up the stride, she loosens up, but it does take her a good 10-15 minutes to really start warming up properly. This is exactly why I like simple polework so much. We've only got 4 poles here, yet there's so much variation in what you can do, and you can clearly see. And I have other ideas for this in the way of setup as well, but that's just showing you some of them, and it's kept us busy the whole time, really helping to improve her body, but also to improve her mind. If you do want to follow more of Blanco's fitness journey, building back up towards eventing, then do make sure you hit that subscribe button to get more videos and updates. And if there are any exercises that you want me to break down for you, then do leave them in the comments down below. I hope you've enjoyed watching today's video. Until next time, bye!